I'm Joy, welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to make the Duke of Cambridge Tart. Okay, we're going to start by making the pastry. So we're going to sift the flour, 230 grams of plain flour into our bowl. Into that we're going to add, because we're making a sweet pastry, 2 tablespoons of icing sugar. Sift that in as well. You don't have to use the icing sugar if you don't want. You can make a nice short crust pastry without. It just adds a little bit of lightness and a bit of sweetness. Then we add 125 grams of butter that's been cut into cubes and chilled in the fridge. And as you will know if you're a pastry maker, the less you touch it the better, especially if you've got hot hands. So we start off using a palette knife, cutting the butter into the flour. Okay, so after doing that for a little bit, I'm going to go in and use my fingers. And you need to use the tips of your fingers. Again, if you've got cold hands, it's much better for pastry. And we're gradually rubbing the butter into the flour. So once your mixture looks like fine breadcrumbs and the butter's all rubbed in, just make a little well in the centre. And then we're going to add 1 egg yolk. This again makes the pastry nice and short rather than just using water.
What does short, when you say short, what does that mean?
It's crumbly. It's a nicer texture. Then we add cold water and we'll start off with about 1.5 tablespoons. Again, just use the palette knife to gradually add the liquid in. We're going to try and bring it together to a nice smooth dough. So just use your hand, gradually bring the pastry together. If it feels a bit dry, you can add a bit more water. What we're going to do is we're going to wrap it and chill it, just to leave it to rest. Okay, so now the pastry is chilled in the fridge, so we're going to roll it out and line our tart tin.
Why do you chill it in the fridge?
You need it to rest because it's got gluten in the flour, which makes things a little bit tough, is probably too strong a word, but you just need it to rest so we have the nice short pastry that I mentioned earlier, so it's nice and crumbly. And we just need it to line this lovely tin we've got from verynice2.com. And it's a 23 centimetre tin. If you haven't got one that size, I'm sure you can make it slightly smaller or slightly larger and it would fit. So all we're doing here is just melting the butter and sugar together, and you do that until all the butter's melted and the sugar is dissolved, so you can't feel any gritty pieces of the sugar. And then we'll leave it to cool for a couple of minutes before we add the eggs. Okay, so here's our pastry case that's been chilling in the fridge. What I'm going to do now is add 275 grams of mixed, actually not mixed, 275 grams of candied peel. So that goes in the pastry case like that. And then we've got our butter and sugar that's been melting on the stove. Into that we're going to add 4 beaten eggs, and this just gets poured into the pastry case over the top of the candied peel. Just goes in the oven at 180 degrees for about 40 minutes. So here's our finished tart, which you can either eat hot or cold. It's just come out of the oven, so we're going to have it hot, and it'll be even more delicious with a great big dollop of creme fraiche. So here you have delicious Duke of Cambridge Tart.